In an expletive-riddled rage, motorists in Washington, D.C. angrily confronted a group of climate activists who were blocking their passage on the highway this Saturday. Let's watch.
We gotta go to work! I got kids to feed! We got kids to feed! What the are they doing? Nothing!
Meanwhile, over in Nevada, law enforcement plowed a police truck into a blockade set up blocking road access to a Burning Man festival. Let's watch.
Did anyone get that?
Yeah.
Daryl!
Better move. You're gonna go back.
They've changed!
Get out now! Get out! On the ground! All of you on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Don't move!
In response to their blockade being destroyed, the group Climate Defense tweeted yesterday, "Words fail, words utterly fail. Today, a police truck plowed into a peaceful climate blockade. These are the people entrusted to keep us safe. These are the people we have granted a monopoly on the use of force. How is this okay?" The group, however, is not finding, well, some people are unsympathetic. A lot of other people are. Texas Senator Ted Cruz responded, "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Let me offer you some free advice. Don't try this in Texas." Is that a proportionate response, plowing a police truck through a blockade, blocking the entrance to a Burning Man festival?
Most people I saw online seem to think so. I mean, however it's handled, it has to be handled. You don't have a right to just occupy the road. So both these videos were trending all day.
However it's handled is a big waving away. That's precisely the issue. Should the way it was handled be to drive a police truck through, sending the blockade kind of spinning in a way that made human beings have to jump out of the way? Is that the best way that the police should be handling what looked like a pretty low intensity situation there?
I mean, low intensity, but people were, if you saw more of the footage, like the backlog of cars, maybe some cars don't have AC, it's really hot out. There have been other examples of environmental
if they're going to Burning Man, they're about to be exposed to many more elements out in the world than they are in their
They
car.
might have water in their cars. There have been medical emergencies the climate protesters are in the way of because you can't get past them on the highway.
But in this instance, we're talking about here.
I don't have any problem with the police running over the barrier.
Wait a minute, this is important.
Either.
This is important. So much of the argument is there's real people on their way to work. Mm-hmm. There's medical emergencies. You're doing it the wrong way. Yeah. I care about the climate, but you're doing it the wrong way. In this instance, they went to a low-stakes event, a Burning Man festival. It's a pure entertainment venue. Obviously, the people who want to go want to go. Mm-hmm. But it seems like the critique is still there, which suggests to me that the critique isn't that you're doing it the wrong way. It's that you think that there should be no inconvenience ever in the effort to protest climate catastrophe.
People should not block the road for climate-based activism or any activism-based anything. It's really annoying and people hate it. I would hate it. I would probably react with a similar amount of wrath if you got in my way on my way to anything, and that's the normal. Like in that other video, you see, I think I tweeted that I love how this was bringing America together. There's a white woman, there's a black man, there's an Indian man, there's a Hispanic man, everybody coming together in their rage over protesters who get in your way on the street. Why do that? And then the ones in Nevada, they get arrested and they start screaming. They're like, no, we're non-violent. We're not violent. We're not. That doesn't mean you're not going to get arrested for being in the street. And they also they accused. They're yelling at the police for these are the people who have a monopoly on the use of force. I mean, they're monopolizing the road by being in the way. It seems a very unsympathetic group, and the reaction I was seeing on social media was furious condemnation. And in fact, I was seeing that even more out there things like run them over is a reaction a lot of people have. Obviously, you shouldn't run them over, and you shouldn't.
They came very close to being run over. It's curious. In South Carolina, Heather Heyer, obviously, who was part of people protesting the racist and anti-Semitic protests that were happening there shortly after Trump was elected, was run over and killed in that protest. Well, there is a lot of fervor, a lot of people who feel very entitled to run people over who they disagree with politically, and unfortunately, there are some members of the police who share that view. I do think that tax dollars should be spent if you need to restrain these people, dismantle their barricade. I think there's a lot of ways that people could go about doing it that don't involve running them over. You asked you said kind of rhetorically as an aside in there, why do this? Well, that is really the bigger issue here. Why are they doing this? And when you have statistics like about that air pollution alone kills 10 million people a year, numbers of deaths that are many times more than what we have seen in terms of deaths from wars, even the most horrible tragedies that we've experienced in our human history, genocides and holocausts around the world, then I do think that there is a question about why something like the 10 million people who die every year from from air quality, just air quality issues, not other climate change aspects, get less of a headline than people standing on a road. And I think that's exactly why they do it. It's almost the only way you can get any kind of climate news to trend. There was another huge climate story, actually, that developed last week. I think we have the clip of it now. It involved another climate protest. Perhaps you'll like the way that this one was carried out. It was done at
painting, I won't.
It was people who attended a fundraiser in Nantucket with the Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, and you see how quickly donors get angry. Even Democratic donors get very angry when confronted with their hypocrisy on dealing with the climate crisis. Let's watch.
There is no future. The fossil fuel industry bought you out. The fossil fuel industry gave you $50,000. And fossil fuels more and fossil fuels.
Longer than
Fossil fuels. And fossil fuels.
Touch you.
And fossil fuels. Fossil fuels.
You hurt your pride.
No new fossil fuels.
No new fossil fuels. We've spoken to her before. She's ignored us.
You have no idea how to get things done. You have no idea how to get things done.
We're afraid because our lives are going to end.
My lives too. We're all the same age.
No, we're not. I'm 20. How are you?
I have kids that are 9.
Okay.
You have absolutely no idea how to get things done.
Can you tell me what are you doing to help them?
I have solar everything. I have solar in my
Is your
house.
individual act going to help us? No, the act of someone in power is going
If you had half a
to.
brain, you would understand
We
how
have
to get
no
things done.
money. Laura has power, and she can help save us, but she's
your
not.
rudeness prevents you
We're
from
gonna
talking
die.
to her.
Who cares how rude we are?
I don't mind
And
if
the
you
people
die.
in
I'm
gonna die a lot quicker than you are.
So we got, I don't mind if you die. The gentleman who said, I've been a climate activist for longer than you've been alive. It turns out he's a lobbyist who lobbies on behalf of the fossil fuel industry. And this is at a Democratic fundraising event, a Shishi in Nantucket, by the very party that claims to care about climate issues. So this is the same organization, Climate Defense, who put this video out, and I think who did this protest. So they're trying a lot of techniques all over the
Do you
place.
think any of this is helping?
This video went very viral, and it's quite.
Attention is not. I mean, you can easily go viral. Is the attention positive? It's everybody.
Yeah. So what I was saying was that these are Democratic representatives who people elected for the purpose of addressing the climate crisis, who are able to hide behind the veneer of being better than the Republican Party on these issues, who are clearly indifferent to the claims that they say that they care about, that they run on, fundraise on, and get elected on. This is probably the most important issue of our time, and the political. The corporate duopoly has absolutely no investment in resolving it, as is revealed in stark realism by a video like this and a protest like this. And the fact that Joe Biden and the whole Democratic Party are able to leverage people's legitimate concerns about the climate crisis into votes when they fundamentally are unwilling to do anything about the root causes of this crisis, inviting oil donors, oil lobbyists like this to their fundraisers, is exactly the kind of exposure we need to have more accountability in our democratic system, in my humble opinion.
Well, disrupting the afternoons of wealthy political elites and lobbyists and donors is, whatever. It's right. There's less sympathy
Well,
there.
Robbie,
I think
it
that's
seems like
vastly
both
different
ways.
than getting in the way of
You
people
seem
on
to
the
think
road.
it doesn't work either way. So I don't know how people can have much of an argument for weighing in on the strategies that climate protesters use when there seems to be a kind of hand-waving indifference about whether or not they go to the source and protest at a Shishi elite event in Nantucket, or if they sit in front of Burning Man, which is hardly exactly. I mean, if I went to Burning Man, I'd be annoyed too. But I'm much more annoyed by 10 million human beings losing their lives, preventable lives each year. And estimates are that these numbers could go up to 150 million lives if it's not if we avoid these kind of climate cliffs and cutoffs that we've been warned about for several years. So, we wouldn't be having this conversation if not for those oh so annoying kids at Burning Man. So I know they've gotten a lot of criticism on the internet, but I want to say very clearly that my subjective opinion, Brianna Joy Gray, is that I'm very supportive of their actions, and I'm grateful that they're fighting for my future and any young people's future.
No, my subjective opinion is that I think their policies are bad and would kill millions more people than.
What's the evidence of that? That climate policy would kill millions of people.
We need technological innovation to lift people out of poverty, as has happened over the last century.
What climate policy specifically do you think would kill millions of people?
What climate
this is what
improvement
Vivek
do you think
said.
is going to save millions of people?
Not having these air quality.
Ending nuclear energy, ending.
I am not against. I did not say I wanted to end
What do they
nuclear
want?
energy.
What change do they want? I support making.
Carbon emissions are causing global warming, methane emissions. It's the
what
air
is the
quality
U.S.
standards.
is going to do to limit China's carbon emissions and India's
China
carbon emissions?
and America need to work together, and India on all of these things. It's America who has historically, under Donald Trump, withdrawn from these climate agreements.
Because China isn't going to do its part.
That is not why Donald Trump withdrew from the Paris Climate
Why does it fall on
Accords.
Americans to do everything?
Donald Trump doesn't believe in climate change. He said it's a Chinese hoax.
I support some kind of carbon trading policy that they're free market environmentalist people.
Those don't work. I mean, they don't work.
What do you mean they don't work?
They don't work because people are. There was just an article about this today. The policies haven't demonstrated to have the effect of actually bringing down the cost of emissions. It's very difficult to track exactly what people are saying that they're paying for in terms of offsets. And what it's done is constructively offset into the future, kick the can down the road of being able to meet these technical requirements that liberals put out there because they claim to care about climate change.
Well, look, I support ending all our subsidies to the fossil fuel industry and every other environmental energy sector and everything else. And as I think Michael Schellenberger says when we have him on the show, moving from coal to natural gas to nuclear and other options is
natural gas
good policy.
Doesn't help you in terms of from a pollution perspective, and it also has a lot of horrible impacts on a lot of working class communities of all backgrounds.
No, but we can't go back to the Stone Ages. We can't
good thing that nobody's advocating for that.
Except those people.
No, they're not. And people should go to Climate Defense and read more from a policy perspective of what they actually are advocating for.
Well, if people find their histrionic actions persuasive, I guess then they'll get on board those policies. We'll have more Rising right after this.